The woman sitting in the waiting room couldn't stop crying, and she didn't know why. She had been fine all morning. Fine during the drive over. Fine when she parked her car. But the moment she walked through the door of the therapist's office, something broke open inside her. Not sadness exactly. Something else. Something that felt like coming home after being lost for a very long time. She wiped her face with a tissue from her purse and tried to pull herself together. This was supposed to be a normal appointment. She had booked a regression session because she was curious, because she had read about past life therapy and thought it might be interesting, because her friend had done it and said it changed her life. But she hadn't expected to feel this way before the session even started. She hadn't expected her body to recognize something her mind didn't understand. The therapist came out to greet her, an older woman with gray hair and gentle eyes named Dr. Helen. She looked at the woman's tear-stained face and didn't seem surprised. "This happens sometimes," Dr. Helen said softly. "Your soul knows why you're here, even if your conscious mind doesn't." The woman nodded and followed her into the therapy room. It was warm and quiet, soft lighting, a comfortable reclining chair, the sound of gentle music playing in the background. Dr. Helen gestured for her to sit. "Tell me what you're feeling right now," Dr. Helen said. The woman took a shaky breath. "I don't know. I feel like I'm about to remember something important, something I've been trying to remember my whole life, but I don't know what it is." Dr. Helen nodded. "That's a good sign. It means you're ready." "Ready for what?" "To remember, to see, to understand why you came here, not just to this office, but to this life, to this earth, to this time." The woman felt her chest tighten. She had always felt like she didn't belong here, like she was supposed to be somewhere else, with people who understood her, people who knew her, people who felt like family in a way her actual family never had. She had spent her whole life feeling alone, even when she was surrounded by people, feeling like she was waiting for something, looking for something, searching for faces she couldn't quite remember. Dr. Helen explained how the session would work. She would guide the woman into a deep, relaxed state. She would ask questions. The woman should answer with whatever came to mind without trying to make sense of it. "Just trust what you see. Trust what you feel. Trust what you know." The woman agreed. She leaned back in the chair and closed her eyes. Dr. Helen began speaking in a low, calm voice. "Breathe in slowly. Hold it. Breathe out. Let your body relax. Let your mind relax. Let yourself drift." The woman felt herself sinking. Her thoughts became quieter. Her body became heavier. Dr. Helen guided her down an imaginary staircase, 10 steps, each one taking her deeper into her own consciousness, deeper into memory, deeper into truth. By the time she reached the bottom, she felt like she was floating in warm water, suspended, safe, open. "Now," Dr. Helen said, "I want you to go to a place between lives, a place your soul goes when it's not in a body, a place where you can see the bigger picture, where you can remember who you really are. Let yourself drift there now. Tell me when you arrive." The woman didn't have to search for it. The moment Dr. Helen said the words, she was there. Somewhere that felt more real than real, more home than home. "I'm here," she whispered. "Where are you?" "I'm standing in a space. It's not a room exactly. It's more like light, golden light. It's warm. It's beautiful. I feel safe here, safer than I've ever felt." "Good. Look around. What else do you notice?" "There are others here. I can feel them. I can sense them. They're close." "Who are they?" She paused. The knowing came slowly. "They're my people, my group, my family. Not the family from my current life. My real family, my soul family." "Can you see them?" "Not yet, but I know they're here. I can feel them waiting." Dr. Helen's voice was soft. "Call to them. Let them know you're ready to see them." The woman did. She didn't use words. She just opened her heart. She just let herself be ready. And then they appeared, one by one, slowly, like stars coming out at dusk. First, there was a woman. She looked young, but her eyes were ancient. She had dark hair and a kind smile. The woman in the chair gasped. "I know her. I know her face. Who is she?" The answer came without thinking. "My sister, not in this life, but in others. She's been my sister so many times." "What's her name?" The woman listened to the knowing inside her. "Lyra. Her name is Lyra." "What does she want you to know?" "That she's been waiting. That she's missed me. That she's glad I finally came back to see them." More figures appeared. A man with broad shoulders and warm eyes. He felt like strength, like protection, like someone who had carried her through hard times. "My father," the woman said. He's been my father in 3 lives, and my brother in one, and my best friend in another. He keeps showing up to help me, to teach me, to remind me I'm not alone. Another figure emerged. This one felt different, lighter, more playful. A young man with an easy smile. My companion, she said. We've traveled together through many lives, sometimes as friends, sometimes as partners, sometimes just as people who find each other in crowds and recognize something familiar. He makes me laugh. He reminds me not to take everything so seriously. And then more, so many more. A woman who felt like wisdom, a man who felt like joy, a child who felt like pure love. They all gathered around her, not crowding, not overwhelming, just present, just there, just welcoming her back. The woman in the chair was crying again, but this time she understood why. These were her people, the ones she had been searching for her whole life, the ones she couldn't find in her current life because they were all in different bodies, different places, different circumstances. But here, in this space between lives, they were all together. Dr. Helen spoke gently. Ask them why you're seeing them now. What do they want you to understand? The woman asked. The answers came from all of them at once. Not in words, but in knowing, in feeling, in truth that bypassed language. They wanted her to know she was never alone, that even when she couldn't see them or feel them, they were always there, always connected, always part of the same group, the same team, the same family. They wanted her to know that her current life was hard because she had chosen hard lessons. She had volunteered to come down to earth during a difficult time, to help, to teach, to be part of the shift. And she had known it would be lonely. She had known she might not find many of them in physical form this time, but she had agreed to come anyway, because the work was important, because someone had to do it, because she was strong enough. Ask them about your current life, Dr. Helen said. Ask them about the people you know now. Are any of them part of your soul family? The woman asked. She thought about her husband, her children, her friends, her co-workers, and as she thought about each person, the group responded. Some lit up, some stayed neutral. Her husband, they showed her, was part of the group, not one of her closest ones, but part of the larger circle. They had known each other in 2 other lives. This time they had come together to help each other learn about patience and compromise. Her daughter was definitely part of the group, one of her closest companions. They had been together in almost every life, sometimes as parent and child, sometimes as siblings, sometimes as friends. They had a bond that transcended roles. But her son, they showed her, was not part of the group. He was a different soul, a younger soul who had asked to be born into her family to learn certain lessons. And she had agreed to be his mother, to help him, to guide him, even though it meant bringing someone into her close family circle who didn't carry that same recognition, that same familiarity. That explained why she sometimes felt disconnected from him, why their relationship felt different from the one she had with her daughter. It wasn't wrong. It was just different. Her best friend from childhood was in the group, the playful young man, the one who made her laugh. She had recognized him instantly when they met in 3rd grade. They had been inseparable until life pulled them in different directions. But the bond was still there. The recognition was still there. Her boss at work was not in the group, but her co-worker, the quiet woman she ate lunch with every day, was. They had been together in 5 other lives, always supporting each other, always showing up when the other needed help. Dr. Helen asked another question. Ask them why your life has been so hard, why you've struggled so much. The woman asked. The group gathered closer. Their energy became more serious, more focused. They showed her images, memories, moments from before she was born. She saw herself in this same space, making agreements, making plans, choosing what she would learn in this life. She saw herself volunteer for the hard path, the lonely path, because she wanted to grow. She wanted to evolve. She wanted to break patterns that had repeated through multiple lifetimes. She saw herself choose her parents, not because they were easy or kind, but because they would give her the exact challenges she needed. The emotional neglect she experienced as a child was not random, it was chosen, so she could learn self-love, so she could learn to validate herself instead of seeking validation from others. She saw herself choose her body, the chronic illness she had dealt with for years, the pain, the limitation. She had chosen it, not as punishment but as a tool, because living in a body that didn't work the way she wanted taught her compassion, patience, surrender, acceptance, all the things her soul needed to learn. She saw herself choose her marriage, the difficulties, the misunderstandings, the moments of deep disconnect, because she needed to learn how to stay when things got hard, how to communicate, how to love someone even when they didn't understand her, how to be seen for who she really was instead of hiding behind masks. And she saw why this lifetime felt so heavy. She wasn't just living for herself, she was carrying energy for others. She was transmuting darkness into light. She was holding space for humanity to shift. She was a volunteer, a light worker, a member of a larger team that had incarnated during the specific time period to help the earth and its people evolve. It was a big job, a hard job, and she was doing it, even when she didn't realize it, even when she thought she was failing, even when she felt lost and alone and broken. The woman in the chair was sobbing now, not from sadness, from relief, from understanding, from finally knowing that her life made sense, that her pain had purpose, that her loneliness was temporary, that she was part of something bigger. Dr. Helen let her cry, let her feel, let her process. After a few minutes, she spoke again. Ask them what happens when this life is over. Where will you go? What will happen? The woman asked. The group showed her. When this life ended, she would return here, to this space, to this light, to this family. They would all be waiting for her. They would celebrate her, welcome her home, tell her she did well, show her everything she learned, everything she accomplished, everything she changed. And then, after she had rested and healed and remembered, she would choose again. Maybe she would go back to Earth. Maybe she would go somewhere else. Maybe she would stay in this space for a while and help from the other side. But, whatever she chose, this group would be with her, supporting her, loving her, guiding her. Dr. Helen asked one more question. Ask them if they have a message for you. Something you need to hear right now in your current life. The woman asked. The group moved closer, their energy wrapped around her like a warm blanket, and then they spoke. Not in voices, but in knowing, in waves of truth that hit her all at once. They told her she was doing better than she thought, that her small acts of kindness mattered more than she knew, that every time she chose love over fear, she was changing the world, that her pain was not punishment, that her struggles were not failures, that her loneliness was not forever. They told her to stop judging herself so harshly, to stop comparing her journey to others, to stop thinking she should be further along or more advanced or more healed. She was exactly where she needed to be, learning exactly what she needed to learn, growing in exactly the way her soul had planned. They told her that some members of the group were already on Earth with her, and she would find more of them. She just had to stay open, pay attention, trust the pull she felt toward certain people, trust the recognition, trust the feeling of coming home when she met someone new, because that feeling was real, that knowing was true. Those were her people finding their way back to her. They told her that her work here was important, that she had signed up for one of the hardest assignments, that not everyone in the group could do what she was doing, that she was brave, strong, capable, that they were proud of her, that they saw her, that they knew how hard she was trying, that they loved her beyond measure. And they told her she could visit this place anytime she needed. She didn't need a therapist or a regression session. She just needed to close her eyes and remember, to breathe and center and open her heart, and they would be there, always waiting, ready to comfort her, guide her, remind her who she really was. The woman felt something shift inside her. Something that had been tight and closed for years suddenly opened. She felt lighter, freer, more herself than she had felt in decades. Dr. Helen's voice pulled her back gently. It's time to return now, back to your body, back to this room, back to this life. But you can take everything you learned with you. You can remember. You don't have to forget. When I count to 3, you'll open your eyes, feeling refreshed and clear and connected. 1, 2, 3. The woman opened her eyes. The room looked the same, but everything felt different. She felt different, like she had been carrying a heavy weight her whole life, and someone had finally taken it off her shoulders. Dr. Helen was smiling. How do you feel? The woman laughed. It was a real laugh. A light laugh. I feel like I finally understand. Like my whole life just made sense for the first time. Over the next few weeks, the woman noticed changes. Small things at first. She stopped feeling so alone. Even when she was by herself, she could feel the presence of her soul family. She could sense them around her, supporting her, cheering her on. She started paying more attention to the people in her life, looking for signs of recognition, looking for that feeling of home, and she found it in unexpected places. The barista at her favorite coffee shop, the woman who sat next to her at yoga class, the man who helped her when her car broke down, little moments of connection that felt like more than coincidence. She also started seeing her current relationships differently. Her husband wasn't perfect, but he was her partner in this life. They had agreements to keep, lessons to learn together. Her daughter wasn't just her child. She was a companion, a friend, a member of her soul family, who had chosen to come through her this lifetime. Even her difficult relationship with her son made more sense. He was a young soul learning hard lessons, and she was the teacher he had requested. It was an honor, a responsibility, not a burden. Her relationship with her body changed too. Instead of resenting her illness, she started seeing it as a teacher. What was it trying to show her? What was it trying to help her learn? She started treating her body with more kindness, more respect, more gratitude for everything it was doing despite the challenges. And surprisingly, her symptoms started to improve, not disappear, but soften, become more manageable, like her body was responding to finally being seen and appreciated. At work, she started noticing the people who felt familiar, the ones who might be part of her extended soul family. She made more effort to connect with them, to have real conversations, to move past small talk and into deeper territory, and she was amazed at what she found. So many people were also searching, also lonely, also feeling like they didn't belong. When she shared her story, carefully and gently, people opened up. Some of them had similar experiences. Some of them recognized her too. She also started trusting her intuition more. When she felt pulled toward someone or something, she followed it. When she felt a strong no, she honored it. She stopped explaining herself, stopped justifying her choices, stopped trying to make sense of everything with her logical mind. She just trusted, and life became easier. Doors opened, opportunities appeared. The right people showed up at the right times, but the biggest change was internal. She stopped feeling like a victim, stopped feeling like life was happening to her. She understood now that she had chosen this, all of it, the hard parts and the beautiful parts. She was a volunteer on a mission, and yes, it was difficult. Yes, she got tired. Yes, she sometimes wanted to give up, but she was doing it. She was making it through. She was learning and growing and evolving exactly as planned. She went back to see Dr. Helen a few more times, not for more regression, just to talk, to process, to integrate everything she had experienced. Dr. Helen told her that soul family recognition was one of the most powerful healing tools available, because it helped people understand they were part of something bigger, that their lives had meaning, that their struggles had purpose, that they were loved beyond measure by beings who understood them completely. Many people go through life feeling like they don't belong, Dr. Helen said, like they're aliens in their own families, like nobody really gets them. And the truth is, they're right. Because their real family isn't here. Not all of them, anyway. Most of them are on the other side, or scattered across the planet in other bodies. But knowing that doesn't make you more alone. It makes you more connected, because you understand that you're part of a team, part of a mission, part of a love that transcends time and space and physical form. The woman carried that understanding with her every day. On hard days when she felt overwhelmed or exhausted or ready to give up, she would close her eyes and remember. Remember the golden light. Remember the faces. Remember the feeling of being surrounded by love. Remember that she was not alone, that she had never been alone, that she would never be alone. Her people were always there, just on the other side of the veil, just waiting for her to remember them, and she did find more of them. Over the months and years that followed, she met person after person who felt like home. Some became close friends, some were brief encounters, some were just moments of recognition in passing. But each one reminded her that her soul family was real, that the connection was real, that the love was real. She learned to cherish those connections, to honor them, to be grateful for every moment of recognition, even if it was fleeting. She also learned that not everyone was ready to hear about this. Some people thought she was crazy. Some people dismissed her experience as imagination or wishful thinking, and that was okay. She didn't need everyone to believe her. She just needed to stay true to what she knew, to honor her own experience, to trust her own truth. The people who were meant to understand would understand. The people who were part of her soul family would recognize her just as she recognized them. Looking back on her life before the regression, the woman understood that everything had been leading to this moment. Every lonely night, every painful experience, every time she felt like she didn't fit, it had all been preparing her, pushing her, guiding her toward this understanding, toward this remembering, toward this reunion with her soul family. And looking forward, she felt different about her future. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't lost anymore. She knew who she was. She knew why she was here. She knew she was surrounded by love, even when she couldn't see it. She knew that when this life was over, she would go home, back to the golden light, back to the people who knew her completely, back to the space where everything made sense. And that knowledge changed everything. She still had hard days, still struggled, still felt pain and frustration and doubt. But underneath it all was a foundation of certainty, a knowing that couldn't be shaken. She was part of a soul family. They were real. They loved her. They were waiting for her. And some of them were here with her now, living their own lives, fighting their own battles, learning their own lessons, but connected, always connected, by something deeper than blood, deeper than friendship, deeper than any earthly bond. That connection was eternal. It existed before this life and would continue after it. It spanned lifetimes and dimensions and forms. It was the truest thing she had ever known. And now that she remembered it, she would never forget it again. Not completely. There might be moments of doubt, moments of loneliness, moments when the veil felt thick and heavy, but she would always be able to close her eyes and go back to that space, that golden light, that gathering of souls who knew her, who loved her, who were always there. The woman who met her soul family lived the rest of her life differently. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but with purpose, with understanding, with the deep certainty that she was loved and supported and never truly alone. And when people asked her what had changed, why she seemed lighter and happier and more at peace, she would smile. Sometimes she would share her story. Sometimes she would just say that she finally remembered who she was. And for the people who were ready to hear it, who were searching for their own soul families, that was enough. That was the invitation. That was the reminder that they too could close their eyes and remember. They too could find their way home. Subscribe to Remember Your Own Soul Family.